It is Kieran Trippier. It is delicious! Glorious! Glorious!
Walker in there too. Luke Shaw! Harry Kane wants it played into him. He chooses Grealish instead. It's Grealish! It's Kane! I think like this has happened for a long time. Here's the overhead kick from Kane! Palmer finds Watkins. Watkins turns! Watkins scores!
Hi there, and welcome back to the Gate 102 podcast. I hope I find you well. Thank you very much for tuning in to today's episode. As always, is appreciated. Before I talk about today's game, just a reminder that all my previous episodes are available on your podcast player of choice. My most recent one being the time England beat Andorra 5-0 away from home, making it 3 points closer to qualifying for the World Cup in Qatar. And today's game will be following on from that win over Andorra, and this game was another World Cup qualifier, and it was England against Hungary at Wembley. Now, England actually beat Hungary 4-0 in the away fixture, so Southgate and his team would have been hoping for more of the same in this game. So let's start with the team that was picked. So it was Pickford in goal, back four of Walker, Stones, Mings and Shaw. A midfield three, now this is interesting, of Rice playing deeper with Mount and Foden ahead of him, which was a very attacking midfield, and I'll talk more about that later on. And then finally, a front three of Grealish on the left, Sterling on the right, and Captain Kane leading the line up front. So in the reverse fixture, I mentioned how the atmosphere was very hostile and toxic. And even though this match was at Wembley, with the majority of fans being England supporters, Hungary fans still turned up in significant numbers and caused trouble. So just like the away game, they were causing problem, trying to provoke chaos. In fact, within the opening few minutes, there's actually a police presence amongst the Hungarian section, and one supporter was already arrested early on for racist behaviour towards a Wembley steward, and they also booed taking the knee, and they actually had a banner with a player taking the knee and a line drawn through it. So overall, it was a disappointing situation. And the same problems we saw in Budapest was almost carried over here at Wembley. And that was a shame, but like I say, thankfully, England had the majority of fans, unlike the last time, so that did help sort of calm down things ever so slightly. It wasn't like the Hungary fans dominated the stadium, which is what we obviously saw in Budapest. But anyway, moving away from the stands and focusing on what happened on the pitch. England started really well in the last game against Andorra, but Hungary were definitely a step up, and that made it difficult for England. And if I'm honest, it was a bit of a slow start from England's point of view. It was hard to find any sort of rhythm or flow of play. And just over 20 minutes into the game, England conceded a penalty. And to be honest, it was a penalty. Sometimes with decisions, you can debate whether was it a penalty, was it not? But this was an obvious and easy decision. Luke Shaw tried to clear the ball, and as he cleared it, his foot went high into the air, and it actually kicked one of their players in the head. It was quite a bad challenge, but it meant that Hungary had a really good opportunity from 12 yards to score early on. And yeah, the Hungary player converted from the spot. It was only the fifth goal England had conceded in 17 matches of that year. And it meant that Hungary had taken the lead inside of Wembley. And that caused the Hungary fans to basically erupt into celebration. And they actually lit a flare, which sent basically sickly green smoke across the pitch. And the game actually had to be temporarily stopped to get the smoke sort of off the pitch and get rid of the flare. And yeah, Hungary had taken the lead, which meant England had a lot of work to do. It was a decent penalty, to be fair, but yeah, disappointing start. But to be honest, after conceding the goal, England played well after that and almost found the way a little bit more. It was almost as if conceding that goal gave them a bit of a kick up the backside almost. Yeah, England started to play with a bit more intensity after conceding. And I thought Jack Grealish was fantastic in this sort of phase of play. He was the one who you felt was going to cause something to happen. He was taking on players, moving all over the pitch, causing a nuisance to defenders. And Grealish actually won the free kick, which led to England's equaliser in the 37th minute. Yeah, Grealish got fouled after he was taken out on the right wing. That meant England won a free kick, a really good position. And then Phil Foden crossed the ball in at a really fast pace when John Stones was there at the far post to equalise. A special moment for Stones, scoring at Wembley, his third England goal after his last two came against Panama 3 years before in the World Cup in Russia. So it's nice for Stones to get another goal. But yeah, England got the equaliser, and that was the most important thing. It was almost a Man City work goal, as Grealish won the free kick, and then Foden crossed it in, and then Stones was there at the far post to poke it home. So yeah, it was almost the Man City lads doing the business. But yeah, England had equalised before half-time, and that was great because it wasn't the best first 45 minutes from England, but to go in drawing and not losing was really important. And Southgate would have been hoping for big things in the second half because in the away fixture against Hungary, all four of England's goals came in the second half. So Southgate would have hoped that it would have been a similar sort of second half performance. But unfortunately, in the second 45, we just didn't really see much quality from England. Again, the rhythm of play just wasn't there. England looked a bit flat. And to be honest, Hungary weren't the best team either, but it was a very low quality game, if I'm being honest. And don't get me wrong, England created a few chances in the second half. John Stones almost scored again, actually heading header wide from a corner. And Sterling could have scored, but that's it really. We didn't really create too many clear-cut chances. And yeah, it just wasn't really our day. I mentioned before about the midfield of Rice, Mount and Foden, and that was clearly a very attacking midfield. And it's what many England fans had called for ages. And Southgate actually got criticised a lot for not playing those three together more often. But Gareth finally opted to play that midfield. And it's one of them, as much as it looks exciting and looks really good on paper, it just didn't really work. I think it was just a case of England looked too open defensively. Rather than having two deeper midfielders and one number 10, this was almost the other way around, with Rice being the single deeper midfielder and then two number 10s in Mount and Foden playing ahead. And that meant we had less defensive cover. And to be honest, Calvin Phillips was injured, so that wasn't any help. But yeah, Hungary played for our midfield quite a bit. But the thing is, they just lacked end product when they did play through us. Hungary did threaten on occasions, but they were just not good enough to accept that invitation. But whereas better teams would have caused more damage to us. So overall, I think it was worth a try. Ultimately, I think Southgate realised afterwards that England played better with a more defensive option alongside Rice, someone like Phillips or Jordan Henderson. But it certainly gave food for thought for Southgate, and he just certainly learnt a lot from this, I suppose, experiment in a way. So in terms of where that left England in the qualifying group, so England were 3 points above second place Poland with two qualifiers to go. So that meant they needed 3 points to qualify from the last two games because the goal difference was way better than Poland. And the final two games were against Albania and San Marino. So it was pretty much inevitable England will qualify in the following camp. So England were still in a great place and on course to go to Qatar. This was a disappointing performance in what was a largely dull encounter. And I suppose the sad thing is most of the attention was focused on the clashes between Hungarian fans and the police and stewards within the first 10 minutes. And that sort of put, I suppose, a dampener on the game. But overall, a point was a point. And they often say, don't they, that if you can't win a game, make sure you don't lose. I think that's what England did. It was not the worst result in the world. It's still a point. It still remained unbeaten in qualifying. But it did mean England needed 3 points to qualify from the next 2 games. And the first of which was Albania at Wembley. And that's what I'll be talking about in my next episode. So keep an eye out for that one next week. And yeah, look forward to speaking about that one. So thank you for tuning in today. Really appreciated. And yeah, until next time, take care of yourselves. I'll speak to you soon.